Okay. Hey, Stephanie, you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Well, we will get started. Well, welcome everyone to Become a Millionaire session number 9. I really appreciate everyone hanging in there. We're 3/4 of the way through the year. There's only 3 more sessions, and I really give you guys a lot of credit. So like every other presentation, I start with a poem. And I'm running out of good poems to use, so I've got to write my own poem. So I wrote this one called CEO of Your Career, which actually fits in this month because I'm going to finish CEO of Your Career Module 2 and Module 3 this month. So CEO of Your Career. Listen, my friends, and you shall hear 10 powerful steps to propel your career. These steps have been tested, tried, and true. It requires inner strength and courage to follow through. Look deep inside yourself, formulate a personal vision, discover your life's purpose, fulfill your true ambition. When you make career plans, think up to 30 years out, then take on those interim goals. The future is what I'm talking about. Know that you're the product. You must work to evolve. It takes determination. Attack it with resolve. Set your annual goals a little bit out of reach, then make them less daunting. That's the secret that I teach. Learn to use your network to make your dreams come true. If you master this one skill, you'll achieve a breakthrough. Make sure you're giving back, because that's an admirable trait. Be of service to others. That's how you reciprocate. Use metrics to track your progress. It's a yardstick to guide the way. Use clear and straightforward visuals so your plans don't go astray. Put your plans in motion. Start your journey today. Take one small step after another, and soon you will be on your way. Open the door to greatness. Turn the big brass knob. Make yourself more valuable. Become CEO of your job. No plan is ever perfect. You can always make it better. After a restful night's sleep, you'll find hidden treasure. Being good isn't good enough. You must strive to be superb. Be excellent in everything you do and get the rewards you deserve. I've shared some golden nuggets, but ultimately it's up to you. If you take charge of your career, you'll find prosperity too. You're at a crossroad and you must choose how to proceed. I know that if you give it your all, you will most assuredly succeed. So here's the agenda for this month. I'm going to spend a few minutes to review session 8, which is what we did last month. And then I will jump right into Augment Income 25%, which is CEO of Career Module 2. And then I'm going to go into Augment Income 25%, which is CEO of Career Module 3. So when I finish that, I will have completed the entire CEO of Career module. So that gets us to 25%. So if you're able to master CEO of Job and CEO of Career together, you should be seeing very, very dramatic raises every year. And then we're going to launch into Expand Wealth 20%. We started that last month with Module 1, and we're going to do Module 2 this month. And then, as usual, I will update you on how our Become a Millionaire account is doing. It's actually doing quite well. I've hit an all-time high, so I'm very happy with that. And then we'll just review the session and tell you what we're going to do the last 3 months of the year. So it's going to be a fun session. So let's review session 8, which was we completed CEO of Job module, which I'll describe a little bit in a minute. And then we began the Expand Journey 20% process, which was to start looking at individual stocks. And last month, I finished the home buying, the entire home buying process, which was Module 3. But over the course of the last 6 months, I did Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3. So that's now complete. The homework for last month was to go view sessions 4 and 5 on the YouTube site. Session 4 would reinforce the expand wealth concepts, which will make a lot more sense now. And session 5 will refresh your memory on CEO of job, which is very important. And then you were supposed to do CDC and API for be a leader on your job. So we did the be competent, we did be excellent, and last month you were supposed to do be a leader. And then you should spend 30 minutes with your Become a Millionaire buddy, your band buddy, and take 30 minutes each to present your CDC document for be a leader. And then begin to put together a list of potential significant improvement projects for your department. So that was the homework for last month. So let's jump into this month's material. So I wanted to just give you an overview of all the Augment Income modules. So we've actually done the ones in purple. So the first 5 modules we've already done. So we did Augment Income 5 outside your career. We did that a long time ago. Then we did the 3 CEO of Job Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3 over the last few months. And we've also done CEO of Career Module 1, Steps 1 through 3. And today we will do the last 2 modules, which is Steps 4 through 6 and Steps 7 through 10. So just a quick review of the CEO of Job. So when you are competent and it takes 6 months to get to that, you should be getting, on average about 5% increase each year. If you can get yourself to 7%, if you can get to be excellent, which is the top 5-10% of people in your job category, you should be enjoying 7% raises. When you become a leader in your group, someone that people follow, you should be getting 10%. If you are involved in a major improvement project, you should be up to 12%. And if you get to be responsible for multiple major improvement projects, then you should be getting a 15% raise annually. And this assumes you're getting a promotion every 3-4 years. Now, the one thing to remember is that this process takes 4 to 5 years to do, because you can see many of these take 6 months or a year to complete. But if you get promoted, let's say you become a leader and you become a manager in the group, now you have to go back to step 1, which is being competent as a manager. So being competent as an individual contributor and being competent as a manager are 2 different things. So anytime you get a promotion, you need to go back to step 1 and go through the CDC API process and move up the ladder again. Because as you become a manager, you'll be making more money. And so we just got Sherilyn is joining us. So in order to continue to receive a 15% raise, you have to up your game. So you really need to be competent, be excellent, and be a leader as a manager, as opposed to as an individual contributor, which is the way we've been talking about it. So it's important to recognize that. So just by way of review, the 2 strategies, CEO of Job and CEO of Career, they really are long-term strategies, and they really work together. They're complementary strategies. And we completed CEO of Job last month, and today I will finish CEO of Career. So I will have taught you everything I know when it comes to how to augment your income 20-25% every year. And these are things I've learned the hard way, and I hope you can benefit from it. So before I go into module 2 and 3, I wanted to quickly review module 1, because I think that foundation is important, and I can do it pretty quickly. So let's be clear, to become CEO of your career is really not easy. So you have to recognize that you have to really be quite superior in how you approach your career in order to do this. And when you decide to become CEO of your career, it's a really, really big deal. It's not something that you should take lightly, and it is a big commitment. First, you choose to become CEO of your career. immediately you've given greater significance to your career. You're saying that your career is so important that you've decided to put a CEO in charge of it. So you're now accountable for the success and the failure of your career. So that's a big responsibility. And finally, recognize that this requires a lot of work, and it changes the commitment level you have to yourself and to your career, and that's important. I had told you that being CEO of career is actually two distinct roles, and I talked about the movie Jerry Maguire, and Cuban Jr. was the football player, and that's role one, trying to be the best football player possible. Cuban Gooding Jr. was the product. And then there was Tom Cruise, who was playing Jerry Maguire, and he was the agent. And his job was to market Cuban Gooding Jr. But as CEO of your career, you're responsible for both roles. So you are the product. You have to remember that. So when I say you're the product, what do I mean? I'm talking about your education, your current job, your work experiences, the things that you know, your skills, your appearance, everything about you. That's the product. Then we talked about iPhone being a product, and your iPhone's a great product. It was introduced in 2007. It's really revolutionized the world. 900 million active iPhones today, and there are thousands of Apple employees who work to improve the design, appearance, quality, et cetera. And many more thousands work to improve the iPhone ecosystem. So we all know that iPhone is a really, really great product. But even as a great product, it's had to improve every single year. So, every year you see that iPhone has come out with new features, new capabilities. They make it lighter, they make the battery better. So iPhone is continuously improving. The second role you have is CEO of your career. And this is, so what are the responsibilities of CEO of your career? First is you have to sell yourself as your job candidate. First, you have to make the product the best it can be, and we'll talk about that. And then second, you have to get to know the client, and the client is actually yourself. So we talked about doing some self-discovery as a job candidate. We talked about doing a SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then we also talked about knowing what jobs are available, because without that, without knowing what the salary ranges are, the jobs, the opportunities, then you really won't be able to optimize your salary and your career. And you need to know how to package and present the candidate, and much, much more that we will get into. So Tim Cook, who's the CEO of Apple, is actually CEO of iPhone's career. So as CEO, Tim Cook has two roles. The first is to improve the iPhone, which he has teams to do. And his second role is to promote and sell the iPhone. So those are the two roles. So as CEO of your own career, you have to improve yourself, and then you have to promote and sell yourself. So quickly reviewing steps 1, 2, and 3, which was module 1. So I did want to mention that when we did the Become a Millionaire project plan in sessions 4 and 5, some of that work actually dovetails to CEO of career. It's 10 steps. So you have to harmonize that. So whatever you have put together in the Become a Millionaire project plan, make sure you bring that over to these 10 steps. Or if you decide to change it, then go update the Become a Millionaire project plan. But make sure that your CEO of career 10 steps dovetail with the Become a Millionaire project plan that you created in sessions 4 and 5. So here are the 10 steps, and then we'll quickly go over the first 3, which is really a review. So first is to establish a personal vision. This is probably the most important thing you can do because it creates a statement of who you are. And if you have an ambitious, impactful statement, then your network, your friends, your relatives, your family can all get behind and support you. So it's important to take some time to come up with a personal vision, because it will set the milestone which you're going to work towards. And then we talked about getting to know yourself. So this was the SWOT analysis I talked about that we talked about earlier. And then that whole candidate self-discovery process. This was to treat yourself as a potential job candidate for a specific job and to look through the eyes of a potential manager and see how you can present yourself in the best way possible. And then I had you begin to develop a long-term career plan. This was for 30 or 40 years. I had an entire template, and you said to fill in the blanks, and you should have a version of this that you did a few months ago. So let's move on to today's content, which is Module 2. And Module 2 really talks about developing your personal roadmap, developing a self-development plan, getting to know the job market, the relevant job market for yourself, and developing your own network for success. These are 4 steps that make up Module 2. So before I go further, let me just say that steps 3, 4, and 5 are really interrelated. So step 3 is your long-term plan. We're looking at 30, 40 years. It's really more directional. You're looking out a long period of time, and it's really strategic view of your career. And that's very important to have that long-term vision. But sometimes that's a little too far out. So the personal roadmap is really to bring that in and look very specifically at just the next 5 years. This is a very short-term view of your job, career planning, career pathing, and company selection. So that's what the next step is about. And then the next one is your self-development plan. And this is really an immediate skills-oriented development plan. So you have to look at your 5-year plan and say, well, in order to achieve that, what skills do I have to improve? And that's what the self-development plan is. So these 3 steps are very much connected. So you should have completed your long-term career plan a few months ago. Now you need to focus on the next 5 years. So it's best to think about complete years. So I want you to start thinking about 2022, which it's only 3 months off, and 2027, which is the 5 years. So you want to think about where you're going to be in the beginning of 2022 and think of where you'll be at the beginning of 2027, that 5-year window. And again, this should dovetail very nicely with CEO of Job, which is also a 3 to 5 year time frame. So you should lay out specifically where you'll be in each of the next 5 years. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But before you do that, you should be asking yourself these questions with regard to the next 5 years. So there's certain skills you need to work on. Do you like and respect your manager? Is he or she someone that supports you completely? That's really, really important. If he or she does not support you, I recommend you start to look for a new manager, look for a new job, because that is vitally important. Are you making progress on becoming CEO of your job? Is that working for you? If it's not, you have to examine the process that you're taking and see what you need to adjust. Do you like your job? Do you like your career? These are important questions. If you like them, then you continue with it. But if there are aspects of your job or your career that you don't like, well, this is the time to kind of examine that and maybe make some changes. You might need to change your job. You might need to change your career. You might change your company. These are all things that you would be doing during this, you're developing your personal roadmap. And then there may be other things you want to work on as well. So these are questions that you need to ponder. You need to take some time, think about it carefully. And after you've done that, you want to come up with a 5-year roadmap. And this is just an example. So this person that I'm talking about, let's assume that they're a project coordinator. It's an entry-level position, making $50,000. And in 2022, they focused on being competent. And then in 2023, they want to be promoted to a senior project coordinator and get a 10% raise. And in order to do that, they're focused on being excellent. So being competent wasn't enough. And they really want to be a project manager by 2024. You'll get another, $7,000 raise, which is about, that's about a 12, 13% raise. And that's probably a promotion, right? To go from a coordinator to a project manager is a big promotion. And then maybe in 2025, they want to get the PMP certification, which is a project management professional certification. And with that, they can position themselves to become a senior project manager in 2026. Again, another $8,000 raise. maybe this is the time to get involved in a major improvement project. And then maybe by 2027, they can be promoted to manager of the group. So this is what I mean by having a detailed 5-year roadmap and you're having a vision for what you want to do. Now, if you don't achieve this, that's actually okay. These are things to shoot for. You want to be realistic with it, but if you don't reach the goals you set, you just readjust your goals. So these are not meant to be punitive. They're meant to be things that motivate you and allow you to focus on the next few years. Now, given your 5-year roadmap, you want to then move on to the personal road. You want to move on to self-development plan. So self-development plan includes skills and capabilities you need to achieve your personal roadmap. So basically, when you look at your roadmap, you basically say, okay, in order to do the things I want to do, I need to develop these certain skills. So here are just some examples of fungible skills or skills that you can use across different positions. Presentation skills, very important. Written skills, the ability to write well, the ability to persuade others, that's extremely important if you're going to be a leader. A range of leadership skills that you need to work on, maybe some job-related skills. Maybe you have to improve your how you work with Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and Access. Maybe you've worked with technical skills. Everyone's got different things to work on. So you need to focus on 2 or 3 things in the next 1 or 2 years that you want to improve so that you can meet your personal roadmap, your 5-year personal roadmap. So moving on to step 6, which is to get to know the relevant job market for yourself. There are a number of resources you can use. So there are online resources, things like salary.com. There are job boards like monster.com, indeed.com. And then there's a site called glassdoor.com, which also tells you about companies, how the employees like the company, how they like their job. So these are great resources to use to get to know the job market a little bit, jobs that you could actually apply for. The next important thing is to make sure you know at least 5 different recruiters or headhunters in your field. That's absolutely critical. If you don't know at least 5, preferably you should know 10, but if you don't know at least 5, this is something you need to focus on, because if you don't know recruiters and headhunters, you don't know about the jobs and you don't know about the job market. So you should work with your network to seek out the top recruiting firms in your field and then start to meet them, introduce yourself, start to network with them. The next thing is you have to leverage the people in your existing network. So there are probably colleagues that you have in the field, people at your current company, people you've worked with in prior jobs. Well, you need to network with them to find out what's going on in the job market, what's going on in different companies, what types of raises are people getting, what types of experiences and skill sets are important to do those jobs. Work your network to be able to chat with at least 10 people who are in your current field or in the field you're considering. So you should be doing that every month, 10 people every month. So that's the way you get yourself to the point where you have your fingers on the pulse of the market. That is so important. I cannot emphasize how important number 6 is. If you don't do 6, you will not be CEO of your career. That's probably the most important one in order to understand what's happening in the job market and what your possibilities are. Then the next one, which is 7, is to develop your network for success. So number 1, you really have to decide that networking is important for your career. A lot of people don't realize it. A lot of people don't believe it. You have to believe it. It absolutely is, and you have to make that a priority. I could probably talk for a long time on the next bullet, which is LinkedIn.com. It's something that I've used since about 2000 and maybe 2003, 2004. It's one of the early users of LinkedIn. And there are many ways to use LinkedIn to find recruiters, find people in companies that do a similar job as yourself, find people in the network. That is so important. And you need to learn how to use LinkedIn effectively. Never use LinkedIn to say, I'm looking for a job. That's the wrong way to use it. You always want to do informational interviews. You want to meet with people to learn more about what they do, find out how the company's doing, and it's all about getting information. If you came to me and said you're looking for a job, I probably won't even respond to you. But if you said you want to know more about the industry, you like to spend 15, 20 minutes, grab a cup of coffee, you have a 90% chance of getting me for 15 minutes. If you tell me you're looking for a job, I don't have time to find a job for you. You have to find your own job. But if I can help you with some information, give you some contacts, I will do that. Next thing you have to do is you have to document your existing network. So you should create a spreadsheet, and you should have a list of at least 20 to 25 people, and you should have their name, what their current job is, what company they work for, what industry they're in, how long you've known them, how they can help you, and how you can help them. You should have a list of these, at least 25 to 50 people, preferably 100 to 200 people, but at the beginning, you should have at least 25 to 50 people on your list. And then after you've come up with that list, you should look for special people on the list, right? So these are people that are potential mentors. They're probably recruiters, they're experts. They're people that you should really focus on getting to know better. So from that list of 25 to 50 people, you should call out at least 5 to 10 that fit into the special list. And these are people you want to spend more time with. And for each person on the original list, you have to determine what kind of contact you want to have with each person. So I've sort of narrowed down to 4 types of contact, but there's probably a lot more, but it's really meant to give you an example. So if you send an email or text, that takes a minute. Do a phone call, that probably takes 10, 15 minutes. If you do a face-to-face meeting, that probably takes half an hour to an hour. If you do lunch, it takes 1 to 2 hours. So for each of the 25 to 50 people, or 50 to 100 people, how many of people you are able to create in your list? And the ones that are relevant to your job and your career, you should be spending time either by email, phone, face-to-face, or lunch with them on a regular basis. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. You should be spending a minimum, and I'm talking about rock bottom minimum, 5 hours per work networking. Probably at least an hour or two, just making sure you're organized, and then at least 2 or 3 hours reaching out to people. Phone calls, lunches, face-to-face meetings. That's what you should be doing in order to be a good networker. And when you're networking, you're trying to learn more about the job, the industry, the career. You want to learn more about how people are enjoying what they're doing in their jobs and in their careers. You want to look for ways that you can help them in their jobs and their careers. And yes, maybe they can help you as well. But when you're networking, you're really just looking for a way to exchange information, and you should focus on that. You should keep a diary of all your networking activities. I would use OneNote to do that. I think it's very effective. So what are the benefits of networking? So I've already talked about this a little bit, but first and foremost, it keeps you abreast of what's going on in other companies and other types of positions. That's really important. You want to learn about their career successes and their career challenges, because that will inform you about how you would do. And you want to help your network by introducing them to other like-minded people within your network. So if you have someone in your network that can help them, you want to introduce them. That's how you help them. And hopefully they'll do the same for you. But that's how you multiply your network. And then specifically with recruiters, you have to find out what types of jobs they're working on. You have to find out what kind of companies they're trying to get into. Ideally, if you can help them, if you have contacts in your network that you can introduce them to help them, look for listings that they can pick up or companies they're trying to get into. You want to find what kind of candidates look like. Are they looking for software engineers? Are they looking for developers? Are they looking for project managers? Find out what types of positions they're looking to fill. And if you have people in your network that fit that bill, you want to introduce them. So now you're helping the recruiter, you're helping your network. And this is when you become a super networker. People will look at you as someone that they want to talk to because you will introduce them to recruiters. Recruiters will want to talk to you because you're introducing them to candidates. You'll really be becoming the glue that makes it work. And if you get that kind of reputation, you would be very successful in networking. You don't want to be a networker who's always asking for help. That's not what you want to be. People will help you when you help them. And that's the way you have to approach it. So that completes module 2. And now we're going to finish Seal of Career with module 3. So module 3 is setting annual goals and objectives. Again, this is where you have to dovetail it with the Become a Millionaire project plan. You have to set up metrics to track your and then you have to do monthly reviews. Now, these 3 things all go together. So I want you to do this for 2022. Make sure it aligns with your BAM annual goals and objectives. If it doesn't, then adjust one or the other, but make it align. Look at your professional goals like CO of job goals, CO of career goals, and your networking goals. You could have home ownership goals. You want to just save up enough for a down payment. You want to purchase home, which year? So you make sure that makes sense. And then what are your financial goals? How much money do I save every month or every year? What's your investment return goals? Do you want 20%, 25%? What are your goals? What's your net worth goals? So you want to be setting your annual goals for 2022. So here's an example. So you would say, I want to augment income by 10% this year. I want to expand wealth. I want to get a 20% return. I want to save 15% of my salary to invest. I want to have $100,000 by the end of the year. I want to be excellent with my job and career. And these are my networking goals. I want 240 texts or email, 120 phone calls, and 60 meetings per year. That's what I want. So you have to set your own goals. And then I want 24 meetings with recruiters a year. So some version of this, and then every month you want to then track that monthly progress, see how you're doing. And if you're doing well, that's great. If you're falling behind, you need to adjust your goals down a little bit to make it more achievable. That's fine too. This is, again, it's not meant to be punitive. It's meant to make sure you're making what I call constant progress. You want to do a little bit every month. You don't want to do a lot in January and then do nothing for 2 months. You always want to do 5 hours a week and do that consistently. And then finally, do your monthly reviews. What that means is, with this particular chart, at the end of every month, at the end of January, February, March, you sit down and you evaluate how you're doing vis-a-vis your metrics. Should not take more than an hour a month. Are you making progress toward each and every goal? That's important. If you're not, you got to figure out why. Do you need to invest more time? You're not putting enough time into it. Maybe you need a mentor. You find someone to help you. Maybe you need to find a partner or a friend that will work with you on it. Are your goals realistic? Do you need to adjust your goals? Did you forget an important metric? Well, if you did, then just add it. There's nothing. This is not cast in stone. These are tools to help you. They're not things that are cast in stone. And then at the end of the year, you need to do your annual review. So you go over the same goals and you see if you were able to achieve it. And if you're not, then set your 2023 goals to be slightly different, to something that you can hit with, I would say, a 70 or 80% probability. You don't want to make it so easy that it's easy to do. You want to make it so hard that you can't hit it at all. So I think 70 or 80% is the right level of difficulty. So that completes CEO of Career Module 2 and CEO of Career Module 3. You now know what you need to know to achieve an annual salary increase of 25% per year. If you can accomplish even 25 to 50% of things that I've taught, because these are all things that I know work. They're very effective, and you certainly don't have to do them all. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. The reason CEO of Career is so important is if your current company doesn't appreciate the kind of work that you're doing, and if you are excellent, you're a leader, you're doing major improvement projects, I guarantee you there'll be another 5, 10 companies out there that will hire you in a heartbeat if you could show that kind of progress, how you were excellent, how you were a leader, how you were leading major improvement projects at the company. If your company's not giving you a 25% raise, there'll be 5 other companies that will fight for you. I can guarantee you, when I was CEO, if I could find a good candidate that could do all those things for my company, I would hire them without a budget. I would just hire them because I know they would pay for themselves 10 times over. So that completes Augment Income 25% for everyone who's been with me since session 1. Now we're going to move on to module 2 of individual stocks. So this is a follow-up from last month where I did module 1. So here's an overview of the entire curriculum for Expand Wealth. So we started with Expand Wealth 5%, which was investing baby steps. That was getting started. And then we moved on to Expand Wealth 10%, which was to buy in a dip. And this was to improve your return. And then we talked about asset allocation, risk return. And we also talked about 401k plans, IRA plans, Roth IRA, and we talked about the traditional IRA as ways to increase your net worth without paying taxes. So that's very powerful, and that will get you to 15%. And then last month we started buying individual stocks, and I'll review a little bit of that, and then we'll go to module 2 this month, and then we'll do Expand Wealth 25% next month. So last month we talked about an introduction to individual stocks. So that was last month. This month we're going to talk about television stations, websites, newspapers, and subscriptions. And then next month, we'll talk about analyzing stocks and making investments. So that will complete the Expand Wealth 25% experience for you. So just by way of review, I talked about this last month. So if you want 20 and 25% average returns, then you have to start looking at individual stocks. You cannot get there with ETFs, at least not consistently. But you also have to recognize that by going to individual stocks, it's a much more difficult proposition. It's far more risky, so the probability of you buying stocks that lose money is much higher. It's more difficult in the sense that it requires more knowledge, requires more insight to achieve success. But if you master these skills, the rewards are great. So I want to talk about some of the resources that you can get to help you. So I've always said from day one that getting to 20, 25% return is difficult, but not impossible. So I found some great resources to help you. I think newsletters are particularly helpful and can offer research and recommendations that you can use as a screener. Some of these companies have teams of people who are experts in different industries, and they provide what I consider very good analysis. So, if for them to recommend a particular stock, they will have done a lot of analysis on the company. They will have spoken to management. They will have reviewed the track record, and they before they put these companies forward. So, if you can spend, and here's the trick, less than $200 per year, which is really about, I don't know, $18 a month. I mean, that's a pretty small amount of money. I think it's well worth it because you can get significantly more value from them. And that's something you ought to consider. So um, here's an example of a Motley Fool. That's one of the ones I will talk about, but they obviously are talking about Tesla that they recommended, and that's up 600%. They talk about Zoom, that's up 300%, and Shopify is up almost 5,000%. And they have a special program where you can sign up for $100 a year, which is very modest. So for $100 a year, I think that it's something you should definitely consider. Anyway, so let's get into this idea about resources. So we start with the free resources. So I'm sure all of you have seen CNBC and Fox Business. Those are the two premier stations to watch for financial stock news. So I'm not sure if you do that much, but it would not hurt to watch one of those channels for like a few hours a week because they share a lot of information about the stock market, about different companies, about different stocks, and there's a lot to learn. And it's, hopefully you've got those stations already. They're free stations, and you can begin to learn a lot more about the stock market. Newspapers are also a great source. So newspapers these days are both digital and print. So Wall Street Journal is a great publication that provides daily information about the stock market. Barron's newspaper is also another daily that's very, very well known and used by a lot of investors. Investors Business Daily is another one. Financial Times, or even just the business section of the Boston Globe, the Herald, and New York Times. You don't need them all. You probably just need, just need to look at them for like a few times a week. But you can gather a lot of information about the stock market by looking at these resources and keep you in tune with how the stock market is doing. And then there are a number of online resources. These resources actually have both apps and websites. So if you have an iPhone or Android phone, you can use the app. If not, you can just click on the URL and go to the website. Excuse me. So I think CNBC is one of the better app/websites for both news and watch lists. What I particularly like about CNBC is that they show you how the stocks are doing in the aftermarket. So you'll see how things are happening. And so you'll get a much better handle on how things are going to roll out the next morning, especially if they're earnings reports. I find that to be very helpful. Seeking Alpha is probably one of the better known websites used by both professionals and novices. And they provide just a plethora of information about the stock market and about different companies. And there's usually a lot of people who make recommendations on those sites, and you have to be careful because if they make free recommendations, you just have to take it with a grain of salt. The NASDAQ has a very good stock website that I go to all the time. And then depending on which brokerage firm you use, they generally have good websites too, like Fidelity or TD Ameritrade or E-Trade. They all have very good websites that you can use to research information. Now, I'm going to share some websites where I found some really good information. I obviously cannot vouch for the validity of the article, so caveat emptor. So I'm going to summarize the information for you, but I will also provide the URL for the website so you can go read the articles more carefully because there's a lot of information there. So without further ado, this is a website called wallstreetsurvivor.com, and they published an article in August, that's like 2 weeks ago, that identified the 9 best investment newsletters. So these are subscription services. And number 1 on the list is actually the Motley Fool Stock Advisor, which I actually do have. So just by way of full disclosure, I use Motley Fool Stock Advisor, and I found them to be very good. What's interesting about them, let me see. So their big thing is that you should buy a stock and hold it for 3 to 5 years. So they really are ones that believe in a long-term window. So this was ranked number 1 by Wall Street Survivor. What they ranked number 2 was actually another service from Motley Fool called Rule Breakers. And this one, I believe, is $200 a year. And this has a slightly different spin from Stock Advisor. So they're looking at things like emerging industries. So they're looking for innovation. They're looking for what's called sustainable advantage, which are things where companies show long-term advantage over the competitors. They want to see stocks that have appreciated, have gone up in the past. They're looking for a good management team. They're looking for something that customers love the product. And they're looking for things that are undervalued, meaning it's worth a lot more than the price of the stock. So those are the 6 things that the Motley Fool Rule Breakers look for. So they're number 2 on the list. And number 3 on the list is the Zacks. It's Zacks Investment Research. So what they do is slightly different. Instead of giving you recommendations, they have a service where if you give them the name of a stock, they will rank it as either a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And what this chart basically shows, if they rank it a 1, those that have ranked as 1 have an average increase of 25%. Those that have ranked 2 have an average of 19%. This is S&P is 11%. Those they rank 3 have a 10%. Those they rank 4 have a 6%. And what they rank 5 have a 3%. And so what this basically says is their ranking system is actually a very good window into how the stock would do. So if they rank it a 1, it on average will do better than the ones that are ranked 4 or 5. So it's just another approach to giving you the capability to evaluate stocks before you put down your hard-earned cash. So these are the actual 9 from the news from that article. So this is 1, 2, and 3. It's $2.99 for Rule Breakers. That's Zacks. And then they have Tom Sykes. They have Jim Cramer, Kiplinger, Stansberry, Speculative, and Nate's Notes. So I asked you to go read the actual article. I can't cover it in a lot of detail in a short session, but take a few minutes and read the article from wallstreetsurvivor.com, and you'll learn a little bit about how they think about newsletters. So here's a little more drill down on the Stock Advisor that we talked about. So this is what they recommend. This is their mantra, I guess. They say buy and hold stocks for 3 to 5 years. And then they also suggest you buy at least 25 positions. This is their way of helping you diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So if you have 25 positions, and if they were equal, then it'd be 4% in each stock. So even if something did badly, you wouldn't get hurt that badly. So that's what they recommend. And they talk about, think about buying businesses. You're buying a business. So when you buy Amazon stock, you're going to be an owner in the Amazon business. It's just a slightly different way of thinking about the thing that you're buying. Don't think about it as a stock, think about it as a business. We talk about sustainable competitive advantage, the brand advantage, things like Coca-Cola as a brand advantage, technology advantage, network effect is something like Facebook. Like the more people that go on Facebook, the more valuable Facebook is. A scale advantage. Do you have the ability to scale quickly? Legally enforced monopolies, cash on hand, and leadership. So these are things that Stock Advisors looks for before they recommend stocks to you. And they're all good things. So I found an article online that talks about Motley Fool. And like most people, this gentleman who wrote this article was very skeptical about the claims that Motley Fools was making. So this article was updated on August 28th. So it's very recent, but this is basically what Motley Fool advertised. They basically say, if you work with S&P, this is how it grows. if you went with them, they would get 4 times what S&P got over the past 19 years. So so if you had, I think $10,000, it would grow to like 50,000. If you bought the S&P, which is 5 times, but if you bought what they recommend, you would be up close to the $300,000. So this person was actually very skeptical. So what he did, and this back in 2016, he subscribed to Motley Fool Advisor, and he opened a new account, and he bought every single Motley Fool recommendation every year for the last 5 years. And he averaged about $2,000 per stock that he bought. So he bought 120 stocks at $2,000 each. So that would be $240,000. And then every once in a while, Motley Fool does decide to tell you to sell a stock, so that he would sell those as well. So he followed them to the letter. And this was his results, which were very impressive. So if you could look at this chart, basically says in 2016, he bought 24 stocks. So every year he bought 24 stocks. The 24 that was bought in 2016, as of August 27th, which was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, those stocks, those 24 stocks on the average are up 400%, over 400%. The same period of time, the S&P was up 130%. So he's basically saying Stock Advisor, Motley Fool Stock Advisor actually beat S&P by 300%. Then the ones they bought in 2017 are up 237%, compares very nicely with the 98% for the S&P 500. So you beat that by 139%. The 2018s were up 246%, 120%. Even the ones they bought just last year up 90%. So what he's basically saying is, on average, of the 120 stocks that he bought based on their recommendations, he's at a 224% average improvement compared to the S&P, which is up 81%. So this person's story is quite impressive. So that just gives you one person's view on this. So you should go read this article yourself and see that. That probably URL. It's called, I think if you looked up Wall Street review of Motley Fool Stock Advisor, you would find this article. So go take a look at it. I think it's very impressive. I've actually done very well as well. I didn't go with every pick, and I don't have this kind of information to share with you about my own experience, but I know in general it's quite good. So the next service I'll talk about, something that was not on the list. It's another one that's subscribed to. It's only $50 a year. And what they look for is a little different. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but they're looking for positive earning revisions. So I don't know if you know, but Wall Street analysts are constantly saying, "Oh, we think Amazon will make $3 per share this year, this quarter," and as the quarter moves on, they may say, "Well, we're up that from $3 to $3.10." So that's what we mean by positive earnings revision. And the positive earnings surprises is, they'll say, "Oh, we expect them to make $3 this quarter, and they're making $3.50." So that beats the earnings estimate. So those are the top 2 things that Louis Navigator looks for in his Growth Investor newsletter. They look for increasing sales, look for expanding operating margins. That basically means that the more you do, the more profitable you are. They look for something called free cash flow. It's very important. How much cash do you have after you pay your bills? Earnings growth. So they look for, and then they look for earnings momentum, which is more than just grow. It's you're growing rapidly. And they look at return on equity. So those are the 8 things that this particular newsletter looks for. And I've been very pleased with their recommendations as well. So something you should look at. So that you just have to look up Louis Navigator Growth Investor, and you'll find their website. So I think in summary, it is difficult to get 20-25% return annually, but it's not impossible. And using both free and paid for resources is a good way to get those types of returns. Newsletters that cost money are a great way to find new stocks to invest in. And I think they can be beneficial in the long run. And if the newsletter is any good, then they should pay for themselves within a month or 2. So So that completes the Expand Wealth 20% Module 2. And now I'm going to give you a quick update on my Become Millionaire account. So as I told you, these are what I'm holding in my BAM account. So you can see that XSD is up 23% since I bought it. IHI is up 19%. SOX is up 17%. IGV is up 16%. VGT is up 14%. QQQ is up 13%. PSI is up 11%. PTH is up 7%. And PSJ is up 0.5%. So I used to own something called XBI, and I just didn't like it. So in August, I sold it because it was losing money all the time. I don't like losing money, so I sold it, took my losses, and now I have all winners. So I'll show you the month-to-month review. So I started out with $1,000, and after 1 month, I was down about 3%. After 2 months, I was actually up 11%. And after 3 months, I was up 17%. And then the 4th month, I dropped down to 9%. Next month, we're up to 20%. I dropped to 14%. And this last month, I'm up at 22%, which you can see is the all-time high. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm basically matching NASDAQ, and I'm still 9 points behind S&P. But this is an Expand Wealth 10% strategy. So I'm well above what I told you we would get, and I'm basically following the exact plan that I've shared with you all. So very pleased with my BAM account. So by way of review, we talked about Augment Income 25% CEO of Career steps 4 through 6. We also did Module 3, which was steps 7 through 10. We looked deeply into Expand Wealth 25% Individual Stocks Module 2. We looked at free resources like cable stations, apps, websites, newspapers, and then we began looking at inexpensive newsletters. So for your homework this month, I want you to go review BAM Session 6 and BAM Session 7. So this will be your second time through, and 6 will reinforce the Expand Wealth concepts. Session 7 will refresh your memory and CEO of job. Homework 2 is to work through steps 4 through 10 of Become CEO of your career. So that's important. So those are new things we taught this month, and it's important to work through it. Homework 3 is to look at some of the free websites I talked about, read the articles I referred you to, and homework number 4 is begin to research potential newsletters that you can subscribe to, because I think that will help get you there. So BAM curriculum. So congratulations, we're done with 9 sessions, and next month we'll talk about my Module 3 for Expand Wealth 25%. We're going to talk a little bit about the cut expense, and then session 11, I'm going to do a little bit more on continuous improvement, and I'm going to finish the Expand Wealth 25% module, and then in December, we're going to put it all together. So I'm going to review the entire year for you in December. So that's it for today. It's 7:59. Is everyone still awake?
Yep.
Good. Well, any feedback, guys?
Yeah. Well, can you hear me, Phil?
I can.
Yeah. No. Well, it's very, very good. It just makes me tired just listening to the preparation to your career. Where I think if someone told me this like 30 years ago, I don't know what would happen. I can like work so hard, I'll probably I can't deal with it. But no, this is very good. It
is a lot of work. Peter, it's a lot of work. It's more than I was able to do. I mean, I'm trying to give people a lot of stuff, and they pick and choose what they like.
No, it's
a lot of work.
It's a very concrete way of improving yourself in your career, and it helps you to really a measurable way to really achieve your goals. Which I think most of us never had that kind of luxury or mentoring when we were doing it but I'm glad you're doing it because that people could benefit from it. Well, but it's still at the point they want to meet those goals and objectives.
If you were worn out listening to it, I was worn out writing it too.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm done with that. I'm done with CEO of job. I'm done with CEO of career. I'm glad. And then last month I finished the home buying thing. So every month I'm going to finish things off. Which
no, that's good. Crossing out lists. That's one of those things that people who find success do is they make lists and they cross it out. Which I don't really do that often. So maybe it's not too late for me to learn to make lists and cross them out.
Peter, you are so smart that you make lists and cross up in your mind without writing it down. You're much smarter than me.
Phil,
I need pens on paper. You do it in your head.
You had me at the BAM account. You don't need to sugar me up. You have your BAM account.
No, it's true. I learned so much from you.
Yeah.
But I need pens on paper.
Yeah.
You don't. You're a little rocket scientist. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter's been a great supporter.
Yeah.
He thought I was crazy when I started this. Now he knows I'm crazy.
Crazy like a fox. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Who's next? Lisa Ann, Edmund, Mary, Stephanie. You guys are great.
Okay, 3 things. The first thing, I love your poem. I just love your poem. The second thing, I'm really impressed with your BAM account. You did real well. And the thing that I thought most is the thing that you said, if you help people, they will help you. That's really good advice.
Yep. I've gone to people always call me for help. And if they ask me to help them, with information, I'm always first help. But if they say I need to find a job, go look for your own job.
Right.
I can introduce you to people, I can introduce you to companies, but I can't find a job for you. You're lazy. If you say help me find a job, you're lazy. Those people I send packing. And I help a lot of people, but I never help them when they call me and say, "Oh, Phil, help me find a job."
But you gave us a lot of good advice. The session is like packed with advice.
Well, this is CEO of career, right? I was going to do over 2 sessions. I was going to do module 2, module 3, but I realized that if I do it, people forget.
He's already tired.
You end up forgetting. So
he's already
I
exhausted.
decided to blast my way through it because that's why you got tired. 'Cause I blast my way through it instead of.
No, it's a lot of substance, in there. Just.
I think most of you, not everyone, but so back in 2003, 2004, I was very active in networking. I was.
Right. Yes.
I was like the top 10 people in the Boston area for LinkedIn.
I
had more contacts. I was basically networking all the time. I actually ran the Boston Academy. I did a lot so I know how to network. It's a lot of work, but I built a pretty big network. So that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Edmund came to my networking meetings. He did. Edmund did come. Did you like him, Edmund? My networking meetings?
It was good. I think it introduced people to networking and going and getting out there because, as you say, it's the most critical thing about finding a career is the networking. And you're right. You don't network to ask people for a job. You network for leads and advice.
Yep. And believe me, if they have a job, they'll tell you. If
but they have to like you. They have to like you.
They do have to like you. They do have to like you. But the thing is, most people don't learn how to network. And honest to God, you don't. You probably know how many people call me and ask for help, and that's just not the way to do it.
Right.
We know you want help, but you can't be so stupid about it. You have to make it easy on the person helping. So what I used to do is I come up with a list of companies. So these are the kind of companies I want to get. Do you have any contacts there? That works. People say, I want to get into these 6 companies. Do you know anybody? I'll help them there. That's easy.
Right.
But you can't. Besides, I won't know the right job. You have to network to get to it. Anyways. Yeah, and I've done a lot of networking in my life. So it's good stuff if you do it, but it's a lot of work. But it can be a lot of fun too. I had a lot of fun.
Wait, if I had a question, did you say that you're managing your career? So you said that you should shoot for 25% increase a year. Is that what you said?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So being CEO of a job gets you 15. Being CEO of a career means now you're jumping jobs, right? So
Oh, I see. So over a period of your career, you should look for like.
Oh, I mean, I'll give you an example. When I when I changed jobs, I could get 50% increase.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when I left digital and went to Oracle, I went from 50 to 100,000.
Right.
That's 100% increase, right? So I'm just saying that from the time I started, which I was thinking like 20,000 to 100,000, if you look over that period of time, that was probably 25% per year. Now, it wasn't 25% every year. Some years was, well, one year was 2%, right?
Okay.
But some years 10%, you get some promotion.
Okay.
Remember, but you got to include those big promotions and those job changes, because that's when it's an open market. But the company will only give you so much, right?
Right.
And you have to be in the open market.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like the free agents. I mean, if you Tom Brady couldn't make that much when he stayed with the Patriots, right? He went to Tampa Bay and made like a hell of a lot more money. It's kind of like that. If your market is just New England, then you can't make that. So, but how do you have to know what's going on? And that's what about knowing the job market, right? So, who's next? Stephanie, Lisa Ann, you guys are so quiet.
I'm finally getting hired by my company.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
Well, it took 2 years.
But
it was too hard for me to do. That's why I'm doing this now. But I couldn't do taking care of my mom and all that. I couldn't concentrate on myself. It was just about taking care of her. So, but yes, they're hiring me, and while I'm working for them, I will be networking and looking for a different opportunity. This company is going through a lot of change. It's either good or bad. I'm not quite sure yet, but half of my department is now gone in a matter of 8 weeks.
This is Crown Castle?
Yes.
Wow.
What's Crown Castle? What is that? At least Ann.
They do all of the towers and dark fiber connections for commercial companies. So and they provide services to the big four, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. They all use their towers to provide your cellular service.
I see.
Internet. Yes. So they used to be called Light Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Others were Windstream that they acquired, but they lost a lot of their sales staff like 3 or 4 months ago. They went over to a place called LightPath.
Interesting.
And then just about 8 weeks ago, our manager resigned from the credit collections department.
Interesting.
Became the director over at LightPath for credit and collections. He just took my previous supervisor, his top collector, another top collector. Yeah,
so Crown Castle is getting raided by LightPath.
Yes, by LightPath, yes. So it's
that's Lisa Ann, that's actually not uncommon. I mean, during my career, when good people left, they would basically take a whole swath of people with them.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is an example. So Crown Castle is actually recommended by one of my stock services because they're a 5G player. They're the backbone to a lot of 5G stuff because all the towers and stuff and the dark fiber. So maybe I should sell. I do have some CCI. It's CCI, right? I think that's a symbol.
I mean, I work on the help desk, so I've seen how many people call me to find out how they're going to cancel their service because the offices are closing. People are working remotely from home. The smaller businesses can't compete with having an office, the overhead, all of that. So the people are working remotely. They're making a smaller. So a lot of people are canceling their services.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm sure your management must be putting together a plan to deal with it. I mean, they can't lose all their people and that would be successful.
Right. Well, I mean, the pandemic, of course, hasn't helped.
No,
Any,
but it sounds like that's why they hired you, because they're afraid you'll go too.
oh yeah, absolutely. Right now, I'm wonderful. It's great to hear how wonderful I am.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, like I said, it is what it is, and mine is, I am, everything that you're teaching us is I am keeping, and I have to enact a plan a little bit later because I've been
Yeah,
trying
no,
to keep everything going.
Louisiana, timing is everything. So if this is not the right timing, I mean, that's the good thing that I have on YouTube. Then, when the time is right, just go review it.
Oh, it's either that or I got to go find a sugar daddy because,
It's,
at my age,
that's,
but it's fine, it's all good. And
hey, maybe Lisa, you could do a meetup on that. You'll get thousands of people go to.
oh, let me tell you, Peter, I've had my share. Phil's
Well-
wife, Diane, we used to have talks at our karaoke meetups about dating and everything. She's heard all of
Wow.
the war stories.
Wow, so you and
Yeah.
Diane should host a meetup, and I will come every day to listen
Well,
to that
there you
stuff.
go.
That's just good stuff.
But the one thing I do want to ask is, what are you sitting in? It looks like either a giant baseball glove. I'm not quite sure what the chair is that you're sitting in. It looks like you're being swallowed.
It's a massage chair that for me to float in the air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
No, it
I'm,
looks comfortable, but it looked like
It
it was
is.
going to go like
It
this,
is.
swallow you up.
yeah, Phil's module made me so tired that I had to go like my massage chair. No.
Peter, just know if you have insomnia, just put on my videos, put you to sleep.
No, the problem is that you're so interesting. I can't fall asleep. I just get tired. That's worse. Like if
Well,
you were boring, I go to sleep.
That's step one. You get tired, the step two is fall asleep. It's like melatonin. That's the way it works. You get tired, then you go to sleep.
No, it made me think about it. Maybe that's why I gotta think some more about it. I can't go to sleep when I think too much. I think one important thing is I think you touch on it is when to leave a job. I think that's important for people who are starting out the career. When is the time to leave the job you have now? Start looking for it. I think if we touch on that, if you read the tea leaves of your company that they only give you like certain percentage raise a year, and you look at a promotion, or even if you get 1 or 2 step higher, you can only get that much like exposure or resource or salary, then it's time for you to think, okay, that even if I do everything I could do here, I could only get X amount of percent in 3 or 4 years. That's not where I want to be. Then you might want to start looking at different options for you as your career. I think that's, and I think Phil did that a few times, which is a very bold move. They did that, worked out for him, and I know people that had done that. You have to take that risk. If you see that, okay, this is not working out for me, what I want to do, then you have to take that risk and check it to look for better opportunity.
You're absolutely right, Peter. It is risky, but I'm telling you, it's much more risky to stay in that dead-end job. That's actually much more. You don't know that, but it's a lot.
That is true. That is true.
But you don't know that at the time. It's just kind of scary. But if you've been doing all the right things and you can tell a good story,
yeah,
a lot of jobs. There are a lot of
Yeah.
jobs. I mean, people just come over the transom trying to hire you left.
right. But yeah,
But
that's
you
only
have
if
to
you
present a good story. I mean, you can't be a schmuck.
no, you have to be good, and you have to be able to do a
Articulate
job
that.
that the company wants you. But if they're not paying you if a culture or company doesn't pay you like that, they're not gonna pay you like that. Doesn't matter who you are.
So, I mean, I wasn't as explicit, but picking the company you work for is very important.
Yes.
Picking job, picking manager, but picking the company is very important.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, joining Oracle is probably one of the best things I did.
Yes.
Oracle is just flowing in money, especially at that time. I mean, it was like rolling in money. I got a Rolex watch. I got a $6,000 Rolex watch.
Yeah. Well, what are the things that Phil didn't talk about? I don't think I was that Phil reinvented himself in his career, in the beginning, because he was a technical person. He was into like operations, then one day he said, I'm going to go into sales. I said, what? You can't even sell, Coca-Cola in the desert. You're going to do what? Phil was a painfully shy person growing up with me in school. And he would be the last person I ever thought would make it in sales. And he made his bones in sales and became, multiple CEOs from sales. And I give him a lot of credit because he totally reinvented himself. Like he couldn't sell you. He couldn't sell you a winning lotto ticket when he was young. But he did it. He buckled down. He put his blinders on. He got to it. And so that's a lesson for all of us, that if you try hard enough, and even though it's counterintuitive, you take the risk, and a lot of times it pays off. It pays off. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. I never thought of it as reinventing myself, but I did reinvent myself. Yeah,
because I was looking at you from a side, because you were doing it. So you when you're doing it, you don't even reevaluate. You just do it. You just gotta do it. Like you said,
I actually have never talked about this, but when I first tried to get into sales, it was very hard. I mean,
I know.
No one wants to hire an engineer to sell. I mean, what the hell
Yeah.
do you know about selling? So when I first went in my first few job interviews for sales, I was tongue-tied. I didn't know how to answer the question. So after about a few months, I went home and I wrote down the 10 most common questions I was being asked. And I wrote out answers to all 10 of it. The next interview, I nailed it and got the job. So
Yes.
it wasn't like it came naturally. It
No,
didn't-
I know it didn't naturally.
I solved the sort of the Rubik's Cube. I mean, I solved it because I didn't even know the questions in the beginning. I just go there and they ask the questions. I know what the hell to say.
It took you out to break the code. Once you broke the code, you're off to the races. But it's hard to break the code. It's hard to break the code.
Yeah, no, it is. Especially, I mean, there was a stigma. I mean, no one wants to hire an engineer. No one wants to hire an agent to sell. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. So I had to overcome those two stigmas.
Yeah, you never sold stuff before, so
I have no experience. Exactly, no experience.
So
A shy Asian guy and an engineer. What the
Yes.
hell what are you doing here?
What are you saying?
What are you doing here?
Don't they say something like that's the thing that they say, how do they say it? Because engineering to sales is like, there's a word for it. They say you are overqualified.
Oh, no, they never said that.
You never said it.
No, because it's different skill set. I mean,
Yeah,
It's different.
right.
I know a hell of a lot more engineering stuff than those salespeople.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the personality. I didn't golf. I don't tell jokes. I don't tell dirty jokes. I mean, I don't have that personality. I mean, I developed some over time, but in the beginning, I had none of it. So
Yeah, that's why it's really tough for them to hire you.
I did it all in content. I basically, told them that I know how to sell. I know how to do it. This is how it's done. Give me a quote and I'll go 200%.
But what made you want to go into sales? I'm really curious now.
What happened at the time was I was actually at Digital Equipment Corporation at the time, and I was doing work for the sales department. I used to write these.
So you have experience.
No, I wasn't selling for them. I did consulting. I did consulting for the sales team. Basically, I would go interview a bunch of salespeople and come up with answers about how to do things better. And then so I would write these big long white papers, like 30 pages. And then sometimes they say, oh, that's a good idea. Let's go do it. And most of the time, they didn't do anything. Just tossed it. So I said, this is no fun. I said, I'll just show them how to do it. So I went to the guy that I was working for. I said, you guys don't do what I say. So I'll show you how it's done. And he said, oh, okay, Phil. There's the phone book. If you want a job, go through the phone book. I said, okay. I went to the phone book, called a bunch of sales managers, and finally got some interviews and, bombed the first 10. And the 11th one, I nailed it. I nailed it well enough to get the job. And then from there it was easy because I was always doing
Right,
something.
right.
From there first I got into sales, it was easy because it's very easy to outsell these idiots. I always knew my stuff. I mean, it was really easy. I kid you not. When I was selling, all my customers would say, Phil, you are the best salesperson I've ever dealt with. They said, basically, everything I ask you, you do right away. Whenever I call you, you return my call in 5 minutes. When you give me proposals, they're complete. You never make mistakes. You give me good advice. Your presentations are flawless. Everything that you've told me to do has worked out. I mean, that's basically true.
Yeah.
Everything that I tell them to do works out. So if you do that, they keep coming back. They keep coming back. Because to be very honest, those other salespeople that tell jokes, play golf,
Yeah, they do nothing.
no content.
They don't know their stuff. They don't know.
They don't know
They
this
don't know.
They
Yeah.
don't know stuff. Yeah.
stuff. But they're very, they got great
They're likable. They're sociable. They're engaging. Yeah.
jokes, they drink, they do all these things that I guess that's supposed to be good, but in my book, that's not the way I did it. I
Find
did
that annoying beyond belief.
it can be annoying.
It is. If you go into a car dealership and somebody like that walks up to me, I look right at them and I go, please walk away. I would never buy a vehicle from you, ever.
Well, the used car salespeople,
Yeah, that's what.
you're not as bad as used car salespeople.
Yeah.
They're worse. They are the drinks of the universe.
No, it's well, when you're a salesperson, as far as I'm concerned, the first thing you need to sell is yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're selling. If you can't sell yourself, to me,
So
doesn't count.
this is what I was taught. Number one, you sell yourself, then you sell your company, then the products take care of themselves. And that was true. You sell yourself, then you sell your company. You get you work for a good company, and then the products are just they just flow from it. So it worked. It worked at Digital, it worked at Oracle. It worked when I was VP of Sales, it worked when I was CEO. I was selling even when I was CEO. I just sold differently.
Yeah.
You did good.
Stephanie, you're quiet.
You did good.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very good. Yeah.
I remember
Looks a little tired.
What?
I remember
Looks a little
saying,
tired.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot of information, but I think it kind of like what Lisa Ann said. I think people can take it with them and apply it when the timing is right for them, because it's a lot to do at once.
Stephanie, next month I'm doing Kathy Wood.
Oh, are you?
So next month so one of the topics is analysts and what do you call it, like white papers that are available and how to read those and get value out of it. So I'm going to talk about how she's in the last 5 years, she has probably 4 of the top 6 ETFs on the market, right? It's all the ARCs, the ARC K, ARC G, ARC, whatever. So she's had tremendous return, probably like 40% return over the last 5 years. So she's done incredible. And what she focused on 100% is innovation. So she's trying to look for new things, right? So she's looking for AI. She's looking for self-driving cars. She's looking for genomics and cancer. So that's a very different thing from looking at a company and seeing what the earnings are, and because that's not about innovation. So she's all about that, and that's worked very well for her. However, the last year she's done very badly. She's probably down 20% this year, but she's up 30%. I'll go over those things next month, but that's going to be one of my topics in the final expand wealth thing. 'Cause it begins to let people know that there are these kind of reports out there that you can find on the internet that if you read it will make you smarter, and then you can make better choices. Because in the beginning, I just said, oh, go look at the ETFs, read the name, take a look at it, and then decide what's good or bad. Well, there's only so much you can do with that. But if you start to understand the different trends in the market, whether it's crypto, cannabis, AI, machine learning, self-driving cars, drones, these are all topics that she talks about, and they're all really, really important. And I don't agree with all of them, by the way. So that's why you have to get 5 or 6 of them, and then look at the things that that resonate with you, because the cannabis stuff doesn't resonate with me. Crypto doesn't resonate with me. I think crypto is a scam.
Ming Lee's a scam.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Phil.
Thanks,
Okay.
Daddy.
Bye.
Thank you. Good
Everybody.
night.